الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Honorable guest, dear respected, dear Excellency Mr. Tooth, Australian Ambassador in Afghanistan, dear Excellency Dr. Bayat, Bayat Foundation's founder, representative managers, CEOs, MDs, of international organization in Afghanistan. I'm delighted and I have the honor to welcome you to Bayat Media Center here in Afghanistan. And thank you for attending Ending Slavery, Extending Hope, Afghanistan's groundbreaking first ever conference dedicated to eliminating modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation in Afghanistan and throughout the world. Today's deliberation will inform us, engage us, and most importantly, commit us to taking action to eradicate modern slavery and all other forms of labor exploitation. Before we begin, I want to call up on the stage Mr. Mujtaba to start our today's conference by reciting some verses of Holy Quran. Mr. Mujtaba.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله عذابا أكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم صدق الله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Mr. Mujtaba, and I ask now that everyone here stand for the Afghan National Anthem, Afghanistan National Anthem. Thank you. Now it's my great honor to introduce Dr. Ehsanullah Bayat, the co-founder of the Bayat Foundation and the chairman of the Bayat Group. Dr. Bayat and the Bayat Group are Afghanistan's official representative to Bali Process Government and Business Forum. Dr. Bayat will now deliver the conference's address of welcome. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bayat to the podium.
Thank you, Tashakkur. Khanabad. Your Excellency Ambassador Toot, Minister Advisor and Chairman Faruqi of Kabul University, Mr. Aziz Rafi, Director of Civil Society, President Sydney, Mrs. Sydney of the American University of Afghanistan, and Mr. Job from Cordate, or Yap from Cordate, and our esteemed panelists and honored guests. To the governments of Australia, Indonesia, and Mr. Andrew Forrest of the Walk Free Foundation, we are grateful for the sustained and exceptional leadership you have demonstrated in the fight against modern slavery and exploitation. And to everyone here who is dedicated to restoring freedom, dignity, and hope to the 3 million victims of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation here in Afghanistan and throughout the world, it is my sincere personal honor to welcome you to Ending Slavery and Extending Hope, the first conference ever held in Afghanistan that is committed to ending modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation here in our beloved Afghanistan and every corner of the earth. I don't know if that could be corner of the earth or every part of the world, because the world is round, so, but in every part of the world, right, Mr. Sydney? How do you say that, though? You can't say corner, because corner will be square, right? Yeah. Oh, on a map, on a corner of the map, okay. We at the Bayat Foundation welcome and celebrate your courage, your commitment, and a strong spirit of cooperation. because only by working together we can strive to forge a world where every man, woman, and child is lifted up with freedom, education, and employment. And the scourges of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation are at long last broken up and banished forever. The mission before us to eliminate modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation from this world is daunting. But that mission to emancipate and empower the millions of people held in bondage must begin right here in Afghanistan. Today, unfortunately, Afghanistan has the second highest prevalence of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation within the Asia-Pacific region. In fact, 60% of the 40+3 million people now held in modern slavery today are located within the Asia-Pacific region. 71% of the victims of modern slavery are women and girls. But all of the victims of modern slavery are deprived of their freedom and almost every hope of regaining their God-given liberty. They are forced to work without pay, they are coerced into marriage, and they are sold to people who exploit them from the most degrading of purposes. Despite the magnitude of this tragedy and the challenges ahead, we believe there's a path to progress. In fact, we firmly believe that education and employment, two long-held tenets of the youth development and growth of our nation in 2001, have both set the stage to some amazing change already in the years ahead. We have convened this conference today because our powerful and shared belief in justice and equal opportunity demands that we act now. As entrepreneurs, executives in charge of influential industries, directors of philanthropic organizations, and leaders of public sector organizations and institutions, to stop the growth of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation. Together, we must encourage governments to build up the legal frameworks and ratify the international agreements which prohibit modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation. As founders, executives, and entrepreneurs, we must lead by example. We must develop corporate codes of conduct which ensure that we are sourcing our raw materials in a responsible way. We must guarantee that we offer work that values the dignity and personhood of the employee, work that pays fair wages, and we must create workplaces that have systems to report technical business practices in a way that is secure, confidential, and more importantly, effective. My friends, our conference today is really the beginning of a two-part mission that will far extend beyond this inaugural event today. Part one is demonstrating the vigorous and effective efforts undertaken by Afghan business, governmental and non-profit organizations to begin the elimination of modern slavery, trafficking, and labor exploitation in Afghanistan. We are a resilient and inspired nation. We know how to tackle hard problems in a productive fashion and have long cherished the potential of education, equal employment, and to open opportunity to overcome some of the world's most vexing challenges and restrictions. Part two of our mission is to develop the solutions which can provide people with the legal security, educational, and economic opportunity which can help protect them and prevent their descent into modern slavery and a lifetime of deprivation. Expanding economic and educational opportunities are the ultimate solutions to the crimes of modern slavery, human trafficking, and human exploitation. Because where opportunity can be expanded, exploitation can be eliminated. Abraham Lincoln stated, "If slavery is not wrong, then nothing is wrong." Time has not diminished the truth and right of Abraham Lincoln's declaration. Today and together, let us make certain that this conference empowers us and inspires us to take steps and to plan great progress towards creating a world that is free of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation, and filled with freedom, dignity, and hope. Thank you very much. For our distinguished guest in Dari and Pashto language, sorry, I have to say this in Farsi, I forget. Sometimes Mariam says that she doesn't know which language she speaks. برای میمانای عزیز ما که به زبان پشتو و دری صحبت میکنند، مضمون امروز ما شما روشن است. موضوعی ازی است که کوشش کنیم که غلامی نو یا شکل غلامی نو و استفاده از کار و کارگر به شکل غیر انسانی ایره در قسمت کم ساختن ازی و در قسمت بهبود به شرایط زندگی از اینا ما کمک بکنیم اگر بتانیم که از این که مردم ما را قاچاق خارج از افغانستان میبرن یا از اینا استفاده های منفی میشه ایره بتانیم که در قسمت بهبود ازی که این مسئله از بین بره. ما می کنفرانس راه انداختیم، کنفرانس بالی از موضوعات که یعنی ما از او الهام میگیریم یا از او الهام گرفتیم. اینا شما میتونید در وبسایت واک فری و وبسایت های دیگه که پسندتر بر شما مانتی و دیگران میگن با اونا مراجعه کنین و بک‌گراند تمام موضوعاتی که بر شما اگر روشن نیست میتونید از او روشنی بگیرین. متاسفانه افغانستان در قسمت مادرن دی سلیوری بسیار عقب مانده و زیادتر از این به خاطر ازی است که مسئله کار نیست، سواد به اندازه کافی نیست و مردم بسیار به بسیار آسانی ازشان استفاده های منفی میشه. به او خاطر ما این کنفرانس راه انداختیم که بتانیم برای مردم روشن بسازیم که افغانستان به راه درست روان است. حکومت افغانستان، گروپ های NGO هایی که در افغانستان هست اینا کوشش میکنن که مادرن دی سلیوری یا غلامی جدیدی که در افغانستان است ایره ما راهی از بین بردن از ایره بسنجیم و با گروپ های دیگه که خصوصا دوست ما اندرو فورست از حکومت استرالیا و دوستای دیگه ما که در جهان از اندونزیا و مملکت اندونزیا اینا خیلی همکاری میکنن. با همکاری از اینا ما بتونیم که جلو ترانسپورت یا جلو قاچاق افغانا را در دنیا به شکل غیر قانونی که حتما من میگم قاچاق میگم غیر قانونی است، این اگه بتونیم که در قسمت از این ما همکار باشیم که از اینا استفاده های منفی نشه. این موضوع بحث و صحبت امروز ما خواهد بود. تشکر از شما.
Dr. Bayat, thank you so much for your support and your inspiring call to action. It's now my honor to introduce His Excellency, the Honorable Ajif Todd, the Australian Ambassador to Afghanistan. Ambassador Todd will also speak about the vital issue. Please give our honored and esteemed guest a very warm welcome. Australian Ambassador.
Good morning all. Let me congratulate you for taking the time to attend this vital, important event. Can I particularly acknowledge Dr. Bayat? I am a newcomer to Afghanistan, but I've quickly come to appreciate the extraordinary contribution Dr. Bayat and his foundation are making to Afghan development. Modern slavery is a vital step for Afghanistan. Dealing with this scourge is a vital step. And can I just re-emphasise that the importance of what the the Bayat Foundation is doing in hosting this forum. Ladies and gentlemen, my job today is to talk about the need for government and private sector to work together to eradicate forced labour and human trafficking, what we are referring to as modern slavery. As we heard from Dr. Bayat, over 40 million people today, more than the population of Afghanistan, significantly more than the population of Australia, suffer the consequences of modern slavery and the transnational crime that allows it to continue. Addressing these highly complex transnational crimes have been increasingly recognised at regional and global levels, and the call for action is getting louder. For example, at the United Nations, we've seen the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals in 2016. Target 8.7 specifically calls for action on human trafficking, modern slavery and forced labour, including the worst forms of child labour. Urgent action is needed from governments and businesses alike if we are to achieve these goals. Ladies and gentlemen, the key question becomes, how can we, government and the private sector, work together to protect the vulnerable and deprive people smugglers, human traffickers and related criminal syndicates their trade in human suffering, while also enhancing economic prosperity? Today, I'll share with you stories about our efforts in the Asia-Pacific region that are bringing government and business together in new and innovative ways to work towards achieving this goal in a principled and pragmatic way. This is especially vital, as we heard from Dr. Bayat, in the Asia-Pacific region. It is estimated that some 30 million victims of modern slavery live in the region, 3/4 of the world's total. Let me start with an example of implementation, and that is Australia's Modern Slavery Act. In Australia, it was the business community that took the lead in encouraging the Australian government to enact a Modern Slavery Act. Some of Australia's most prominent business leaders, like Andrew Forrest, who we all in Australia know as Twiggy Forrest, took the lead on this. Business recognised that this would help even the playing field and potentially create economic benefits. Australia's Modern Slavery Act entered into force in January this year. It aims to improve transparency and ethical recruitment practices within both the private sector and public procurement supply chains. The Act requires certain businesses, those with more than Australian $100 million in annual consolidated revenue, to publicly report on what they have done to address modern slavery risks in their operations and supply chains. This captures approximately 3,000 large businesses in Australia. In a world first, the Australian government will also be required to publish a modern slavery statement covering government procurement. But ladies and gentlemen, no one country alone can tackle these issues in isolation. Supply chains are global. They cross borders, so collaboration between countries, between international organisations is absolutely vital. In the Asia-Pacific region, countries are working together through the regional forum called the Bali process on people smuggling, trafficking in persons and related transnational crime. The Bali process is the premier regional platform for policy dialogue, information sharing and practical cooperation on these issues. 45 member states, including Afghanistan, comprising source, transit and destination countries for migrants spanning the region from the Middle East, all of the ASEAN countries to North America, including 4 UN organisations. Australia and Indonesia co-chair the Bali process, if you heard, which is led at ministerial and senior officials level. Ladies and gentlemen, while it has been successful, Bali process ministers recognise that much more needs to be done. Raising awareness within the private sector and engaging with business as a partner was essential given the scale and complexity of the challenge. This leads to the launch of the Bali process, Government and Business Forum, which took place in Australia in 2017. The forum brought together ministers and business champions from each Bali process country to increase awareness of the problem and develop innovative strategies to tackle it. It focused on supply chain transparency, ethical employment, and safeguards and redress for victims. And can I take this moment to commend Dr. Bayat for stepping forward as Afghanistan's business champion. In August 2018, ministers endorsed a set of recommendations developed by business around 3 pillars: acknowledge, act, and advance. You will hear more about the AAA recommendations later today, but they set out a pathway for a collaboration between business and government. The 3 pillars call on government and business to acknowledge the scale of modern slavery, to take action to address the problem, and advance the sustainability and effectiveness of the forum, recognising that tackling exploitative practices requires a long-term, sustainable and effective approach. Each pillar has recommendations for both business and government. So, ladies and gentlemen, what should we be asking our governments to do, and what should we be encouraging them to do? Governments everywhere need to show leadership. Governments need to drive change nationally, to legislate and implement policies that support political commitments, that these commitments to eradicate human trafficking and modern slavery. Governments need to create a safe space for business, to encourage them to address the problem and drive cultural change. They need to listen when businesses suggest ways governments can enable that change. Businesses need to engage with governments early to shape that policy and legislation, to avoid unworkable policies and regulations, especially those that create unnecessary compliance burdens and costs. This really is a multi-stakeholder model for change, and I will be working in my time in Afghanistan to continue to share the Australian experience and to encourage the Afghan government to come down and follow that path. But let me conclude now by saying that it is industry that needs to step up and show leadership. Again, this is not about achieving immediate perfection, but rather taking proactive steps to start an honest conversation and a willingness to change. It is about learning from each other, about identifying what works for different sectors and sharing experiences. And today you have all taken an important step by coming to discuss these issues, to work together on how to eliminate these heinous crimes, these crimes that undermine Afghan and world development. The world marketplace is changing rapidly. Never has there been a greater focus on transparency in supply chains and ethical recruitment. So now is the time to act. What's clear is business that recognises these changes and ahead of the curve will be the ones that prosper. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today, and congratulations to the Foundation for its extraordinary efforts in this regard. Thank you.
Ambassador Tooth, thank you so much. It's now my pleasure to present to you this visual presentation from Ms. Jean Morris, the CEO of the Walk Free Foundation, which will provide us with additional vital information about the mission and goals of the Bali process. Bali process. Bali process.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen Morris and I lead the Walk Free initiative, which is part of the Minderoo Foundation. As part of our role, we are also the Secretariat for the Bali Process Government and Business Forum. This initiative looks after areas such as human trafficking, modern slavery, people smuggling and other transnational crime across the whole of the Asia-Pacific region, of which of course Afghanistan is a member. It is through this initiative that I had the great privilege of meeting the Bayat family, Dr. Bayat and his wife Mrs. Bayat, and also their 2 wonderful daughters, Michelle and Zara, who attended the 2018 forum. I'm very sad that I can't be with you all today in Kabul. I know that you've all gathered to hear more about the Bali Process Government and Business Forum, and I applaud, on behalf of Walk Free and the Minderoo Foundation and the Bali Process Government and Business Forum, the Bayat family and the steps that they are taking to deal with issues such as modern slavery. I understand that Afghanistan has complex issues within its country, so having the Bayat family lead with all of you participating in this initiative shows tremendous leadership across the Asia Pacific, and Walk Free and I commend you for that work. As part of your participation here today, I know that you're going to hear more about the AAA recommendations, which are Acknowledge, Act and Advance, a series of commitments that both government and business have made to deal with modern slavery issues. I want to commend the Bayat Group and its leadership for being the first organisation in Afghanistan, and in fact in many countries, to publish a modern slavery statement. In addition to this initiative, the Bayat Group's Ariana television network, ATN, and ATN News ran a series of television and radio segments to raise public awareness of child protection laws. This was extraordinary leadership, and myself and Walk Free commend you on that. In addition to this great leadership, the group's wireless communications company also partnered with the ILO's Road to Jobs program to extend access to banking and financial services via My Money, a secure mobile payment platform. We congratulate the Bayat family, and in fact, I congratulate all of you for taking part, wanting to learn more about the AAA recommendations and the work that the Bali Process Government and Business Forum are doing across the Asia Pacific for governments and for business. I finally want to thank the Bayat Group for the family and all of the work that they're doing in this area. I look forward to your continued leadership and working with you on this. And for today, please learn, communicate, share information, learn as much as you can, and once again, congratulations on the leadership that you're showing in ridding the world of this horrendous human rights crime of modern slavery. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video presentation from Walk Free Foundation, which provided information about the Bali process and the global effort to eradicate human trafficking, forced labor, modern slavery, and child labor. Dear distinguished guests, we have got today in the conference 2 panel discussion for each one for 30 minutes. Now we have 3 panelists that will join at the first panel discussion. So I want to call up on the stage Mr. Aziz Rafi, Director of Civil Society Forum of Afghanistan, to come. Please, let's have a warm welcome, Mr. Rafi. And the next panel is Rola Ahmadi, Project Manager, Combating Human Trafficking in Afghanistan, Support to Shelter Projects, Afghanistan International Organization. Please come and have a seat, please. The next panelist is Ahmad Qais Jawed, Country Manager of Zeba Food Company. Let's have a warm welcome of Qais Jawed also. Good morning again, everyone, and thank you for participating in our first panel of the conference, the Bali process, AAA goals from acknowledgement to action. I would like to start today's discussion with a quick review of the AAA goals and the state of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation in our region. The AAA goals are a series of recommendations for combating modern slavery, which have been developed by the Bali Process Government and Business Forum, GABF. These recommendations ask government and companies to acknowledge the existence of modern slavery and exploitation, and also that modern slavery and exploitation is an unlawful practice that within our region and the world deprives millions of people of their freedom. Act to combat modern slavery and exploitation for governments. This means enacting laws and ratifying international agreements which prohibit all forms of modern slavery, forced labor, trafficking, and labor exploitation. and advance the fight against modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation by encouraging governments and companies to develop long-term policies which combat exploitation in all its forms. Now, here are a few facts about the state of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation here in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has the region's second highest incidence of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation. Within the Indo-Pacific region, only North Korea ranks higher in the prevalence of these tragic and unlawful practice. Worldwide, approximately 40.3 million people are victims of modern slavery. 71% of persons held in modern slavery are women, and 60% of all victims of modern slavery live in the Indo-Pacific region. So now I want to ask my first question from Mr. Aziz Rafi'i by asking, how do you define modern slavery in the context of our own country, Afghanistan?
Well, thank you very much, and a very warm good morning to everybody here. Thanks to the Bayat Foundation and Mr. Bayat himself for the organizing this very important incident for the first ever in Afghanistan. I believe this is a very important topic that we should talk. And from civil society perspective, we understand that it's a real and serious catastrophe in the country for many reasons, for the existence of war and conflict in the country, the radicalization and also brainwash disaster in the country, the poverty and hunger, the lack of rule of law and justice, which are the four important issues that the issue of slavery in Afghanistan has been considered one of the serious catastrophes in the country. Well, in Afghanistan, we don't have any definition, any specific official definition by the government of Afghanistan and by legal entities.
It's all the same, you know, in all countries.
But
we define.
For us in the civil society, we believe that any act under any condition, restriction, or intimidation that deprives or constrains you to exercise your freedom of choice in your own way of living and livelihood is called slavery. With this definition, in Afghanistan, we understand that majority of the things happening is coming under the under the definition of the slavery. Particularly, there are 7 types of the types of the slavery understood by the international community and also by the labor law and also the ILO and the IOM. But there are 10 in Afghanistan. So the first one is the social slavery, which is called the social debt, where the society cannot accept you as a human being. The sex trafficking, the child sex trafficking, forced labor, forced child labor, bonded labor, or debt bondage, which is now started in Afghanistan.
So which one is more exists in Afghanistan?
Well, actually all of them. All of them, particularly the child sex trafficking, the sex trafficking, and also the forced marriage is the other one. Unlawful recruitment is the other one, which is very common in Afghanistan and happening. And the exploitation or exploiting labor beyond hours, which is actually the new modern one in Afghanistan, which the companies and organizations employ you for 8 hours, but you have a laptop, you work 16 hours, even from your home, and that's considered as a modern slavery.
Thank you, Mr. Aziz, from you. And the second question goes to Mr. Jawed. In your business, what policies do you have which ensure a safe and ethical employment experience for your employees?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I thank first Mr. Bayat Foundation. We really appreciate his help. In our company, our employees, they are like our family, not only to the partners, but also to each other. We respect to their ideas. We always listen to them. Even when we entered this business, we didn't have an idea of the product, which one we will do, but we got these all experience from our employees. We listen to them. We have employees from different provinces of Afghanistan. We believe that the ideas from their experience that we get is much important than our own ideas. Because Zeba is an American Afghan company.
Same look based on balance?
Yes.
So there is no difference you make based on gender and other?
Yes. And most of our employees are ladies, women in the company, almost 90%. We even put managers, ladies managers. Why? That they can listen, they can talk to them well, and because a woman cannot tell their all needs to a man, but they can tell to a woman nicely and softly. So that's one of the important things. We always we support them in different things. Even salaries goes to their own name in their accounts, and transportation, everything there. That's
It's something oral, or it's based on the policies and procedure that you have written on the paper?
yeah,
And
that's
it's being practical.
It's practical,
honest.
and yeah, it's practical.
Thank you. Mr. Ahmadi, what types of modern slavery and human trafficking are most prevalent and familiarized in Afghanistan?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for arranging this vital and
Most
important conference about ending slavery and human trafficking. Based on our experience, like we implemented the project of combating human trafficking in Afghanistan in 14 provinces of Afghanistan from 2016 till end of April 2019.
14 provinces.
Yes. Through this project, we conducted different trainings about how to combat trafficking in person and how to identify victims of trafficking and how to refer them to service providers. So there are many, many cases of trafficking in Afghanistan.
So what were your findings?
We have many findings from our projects. Like there are sexual exploitations from women and children in Afghanistan. And like there are some cases that women transfer from one provinces to other provinces, and they deceive that we will marry you, but after that they are exploited several times by several people. There are also some labor exploitation in Afghanistan as well, especially in opium sections. In some provinces we had these type of cases we hear from participants. Other type of human trafficking cases are like bachabazi is very prevalent in Afghanistan. So, also recruitment of children for fighting and working in mines. This is another type of exploitations from children in Afghanistan, and it's very common from different sides. Also, forced begging is another types of modern slavery here in Afghanistan exists. There are some cases that reported from some provinces. And some cases of baddadan, like we said in Dari, that when some person kill a person, they, for resolving the problem, they gave their daughters to the other parties.
It's a kind of culture in some areas.
Yes, there's a culture, but most of the cases that lead to trafficking, and they live as a slavery in their families.
So you said about the job training and development opportunities, your company. Which type of job training, which type of development opportunities exist in your company? I mean, is it based regular, I mean, every day, weekly, monthly, or yearly? Or it happens once or twice in a year?
We are working with those women who are victims of trafficking and they are reintegrated to their family and community. We conduct several occasional training with them, and we want to have jobs.
So what are the content of these trainings? I mean, what do you do for them? Which kind of training?
How to, they can self-help group, they can make a self-help group to start their own business in their society. Like we have many activities there. Especially these activities are for the women who are victim of trafficking or domestic violences in the communities. So these are very successful activity in our companies.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go back to Mr. Aziz Rafi. You mentioned about the laws, rule and regulation in Afghanistan. My question is that what specific actions let's say what laws presently exist which prohibit modern slavery and human trafficking in Afghanistan?
Well, before going to the laws, I think there is no common understanding about the modern slavery in Afghanistan.
And what the reason why there is no common understanding?
And also in the laws of Afghanistan has not been defined. It's a very new phenomenon in the country, the new understanding of the modern sort of slavery in the country. The second issue is that there is no political understanding of right-based approach for human being in the country, which has not been considered in the policies. Even in the citizen charter, the modern development charter of the country, this has not been considered. The law, almost zero understanding of the issue into the laws, into the content of laws is very visible. So far in the country, we have the Constitution of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We have the labor law, we have the civil code, we have the criminal code, and we have the law These are the laws which are generally talk about the issue.
So are these laws prohibiting the slavery in Afghanistan?
Not in a very specific way, but in a general way.
In a common way?
Yeah, it's a general way, actually. It's not a common, it's a very general way. There are three important specific laws for the slavery, particularly on the sexual slavery contact. One is the campaign against abduction and the human trafficking, which was approved by the Parliament of Afghanistan in 2008. There is another law which is called the EVOW law, approved in 2009, and the sexual harassment law in 2014. These are the four important laws which consider very specifically the issue of the
So are these laws being implemented regularly in Afghanistan now, or it's only on the paper?
Implementation of the law is a very serious problem in the country. They are existing enough. These laws exist to specifically tackle the issue. But I cannot say that they are actually being implemented, because rule of law is a very major problem in the country.
Thank you. Mr. Jawed, do you provide, as I asked before Mr. Ahmadi, job training or kind of job opportunities in your company that you are working or you're leading?
Yes, we do. We do different trainings. Actually, we hire those type of women that they are not experienced, because most of the companies, they ask for experienced people, but what will happen to the others?
And you train them, then they become expert?
We train them, yes. We always train them in different parts.
For how long? I mean, you give them time, like 3 months? Or?
Yeah, it's always 3 months. We have different trainings, like whatever machinery we have, because it's a processing company, NATS processing, so we train them on those. And also we have English lessons to them. Whoever is interested, 1 hour start of the day, we train them in English language and also in computers. And even when we need a manager, we don't hire new people. We train them to become one of our managers, because they work for us since our company starts, so we want to give opportunity to them.
In your opinion, do you think that if you make strong their economic situation in Afghanistan, or we somehow have economic development in Afghanistan, will be there a change in your life that we should not be or we should not see modern slavery in Afghanistan if the economic situation change, and if we must have economic development in Afghanistan, or there should be a change in family?
Yes, for sure.
Because most of the reasons comes from the bad economy and low economy.
Yeah, that's the main reason. If you have, like ours is a small company, if you have big companies like this, everybody get a job, then these things get solved.
No. So what do you think? Is there a change came now?
Yeah.
We are in a process of changing?
It's getting, yeah.
Thank you. Let's go back to Mr. Aziz Rafi. What specific or clear actions have been taken for the prohibiting of modern slavery in Afghanistan till now, from government, from other companies, national, international organizations who are working in Afghanistan in the past and now?
You know, as I mentioned, there are three important outputs for so far from the government side, which is the three important laws that I just mentioned. And I think these are.
But if I ask you about the implementation of these laws, so what happened to government side?
I mean, as I said, you know, the rule of law is a major concern in this country, is a major issue in this country. Unfortunately, due to the impunity culture and due to the lack of political will for for maintaining justice.
But for how long? I mean, we have to wait.
Well, we need an accountable government for that. We need an accountable civil society. We need an accountable private sector for that. Unfortunately, for the implementation of law, there is no coordination between these three important actors. Lack of coordination between citizens and the government, lack of trust of the citizens towards the government has caused a huge chaotic situation for the country. I mean, we are suffering from a disaster created by the politicians in this country, and that is a disaster. We all see the impunity culture is growing up.
Then what we need to do? To do more, I mean, to end up the modern slavery.
As a civil society, we can only do advocacy. As I said, you know, we have three.
But only advocacy can solve the problem?
Well, a political will is a must, and that needs to be brought by the government.
Yeah.
That's the responsibility of the government. We need to do advocacy to create that political will, and to make sure that the government feel responsible for what their responsibility is, and what they should deliver to the citizens to make up the trust, or to build up the trust between the citizens and the government and the state. I mean, today the chaotic situation between the state actors, or between the government and the parliament and the judiciary and every element of the state, is a disaster. You can't trust anyone. You can't trust, the people cannot trust the status. I think that requires a proper understanding, a mutual understanding of the status, and taking actions
through which channels,
through important channels of implement or delivers the executive power of the government, the ministries. They are the ones who have to execute, and then they have to do and deliver. The citizen awareness is a very important issue.
By the media to be given?
Today we don't understand, the citizens do not understand if they are being sexually abused or not, sexually misused or not, are they being slaved or not. The understanding
what happened
is not
with
there.
What happened with the advocacy? If we give awareness and there something happened, then who should take action on it? Because we have seen many cases that media, aired and broadcasted, but still it's ongoing or in a process, or the case is already closed.
This reminds me from a very sad incident that we had in Samangan. In 2008, we started women awareness raising programs in Samangan.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we had dozens of women going and asking for divorce, divorce, to get the talaq.
Yeah.
And then we were defamed that the CSOs are trying to, separate man and woman in this society. And you have the news had the information that one of the men killed his wife in front of the court because we raised the awareness of the woman but not raised the awareness of the man. So that created a counterproductive status. Yeah. So we lost a woman because she had understood that the life that she has at the home is not a human being life. So that she wanted to get rid of the man. That's
so was that
the awareness,
case,
that's a sort of lesson that we have learned in Afghanistan. The awareness raising is important to give to the right people, to the right person, not to the victims. And the other issue is the lack of a coordination mechanism. Unfortunately, there is a huge
coordination between which organizations?
Between government, between the private sector, and between the civil society, which actually should create a conducive and trustful environment between the citizens and the state.
Thank you. Mr. Ahmadi, which kind of procedures, programs can end up the modern slavery in Afghanistan? What should we have to do? The responsibility goes to who, mostly?
Okay, before to come to that answer, I want to just briefly mention about the achievement of Afghan government and national and international civil organization in the last 2-3 years. With the technical support of IOM and TIP High Commissions, now we have a training manual for trafficking in person in the country levels, and which developed very comprehensively. Now they develop one TIP online database, and it's now implemented in 10 provinces that to record victims' protections and other sections in that database, and also develop a national referral mechanism for victims of trafficking. And also now we have TIP High Commission trafficking person, which is human trafficking, smuggling, a migrant TIP High Commission, which is in the head of Ministry of Justice, and each quarter they need to have meetings and they need to make their planning and programming for combating trafficking.
And what's the solution? Which kind of procedures and programs can end up slavery in Afghanistan? What do we have to do?
First of all, we have law for combating human trafficking, smuggling of migrants, but like before mentioned, there is not normally implemented. So we need to implement this law. That will be very successful for combating trafficking. And also biggest problem...
You mean we have good laws, but they are not being implemented by the government?
Sure, we have very good law. That's very comprehensive for each section. They are very good guidance for instructions. And also the biggest problem is here is victim identification. And governmental and non-governmental organizations, they are not able to properly identify victim of trafficking.
Why?
Because of low capacity. So just they mix the trafficking cases. Sometimes the victim, they refer to prisons because of lack of there's no good identifications. So there is needed to have more capacity building training for relevant governmental and non-governmental stakeholders to...
Thank you. And just as a last question, Mr. Joey, what do we have to do? Which kind of programs can end up this big challenge and problems in Afghanistan's modern slavery?
It should be more companies, more job opportunities can help this, because now there are less jobs.
You mean employment can solve the problem?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Dear audience, so we have 5 to 8 minutes. We can have questions from you guys as well. 1 to 3 questions. If you have any question from our panelists, raise your hands and then I would give you the chance to ask from any one of the panelists. همکار عزیز اگر مایک به خواهر ما بتین. اول خود را معرفی بکنین. Please introduce yourself first, then ask the question clearly.
Hi, my name is Pashtana Durrani. I'm an American university student. So my question is from the civil society. We do talk about like it's neo-modern slavery, right? But we do talk about it, but then we don't talk about the women at home that are unpaid and they do work at home and they are not paid and nobody's talking about it. And then you said about EVA, the elimination of violence against women. But at the same time, this law is still stuck in the parliament, right? So if we are working on these neo-modern slavery, right? What about those women? How do we include those women in the process? And also from the Ziba Food Company, how do we make more opportunities for food for those, as in like in opportunities for jobs for those women? How do we include those women inside, like for paid jobs? So this is one loophole, that gap we are missing. Like we are focusing on people who have jobs, and we are focusing on them, or who are trafficked or who are victims, but we are not focusing on people who are at homes and who are victimized and nobody's talking about them because they are unpaid.
Thank you so much. Let's go to the answer, Mr. Rafi, the women at home.
If I can bring the issue of the women unpaid at home and they are doing the, which actually economically considered as, I don't know the English terminology, but I think the Bekari Jari or Bekari Rawan, which is actually part of the current or moving jobless or unemployment, is considered in the economics terminology. I don't have the English terminology for that. بیکاری روان برای کسایی خطاب میشه که معمولا اونا در کار میکنن ولی کارشان پرداخت نمیشه ولی کارشان که consider
unpaid employer. Or those
no, unpaid is a different one, but the بیکاری روان is a completely different terminology. Anyway,
so what do we have to do about them?
I think we cannot consider that as domestic servitude, but I think there is a possibility that the current law, which is under the revision, and particularly on the labor law, we have included this terminology, particularly for the women who are unpaid. And we have quoted a huge number of the hadiths and the riwayats for that, to make sure that the women who are even milking during the the infant time for the children, they have to be paid by the husband as per the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I think that is something that we
but
have
who is
considered.
doing that in Afghanistan?
Well,
I mean,
it is not
in the
law is not in act yet. We are
following
trying to push that issue, and then we are trying to also, under a huge program for the, funded actually luckily by the Australian embassy, Australian aid agency. We are trying to incorporate that into the revision of
Did
the
you do that in the past?
curricula. We have already done it. Already did it. That needs to be recognized by the Ministry of Pilgrimage and Awqaf, the Ministry of Hajj and Awqaf. So that needs to be understood and also brought into the law, incorporated into the law, which is part of the question that my sister is asking for. The EVA law is an act. It was not approved by the parliament, but based on the decree of the president, it is an act. And we have tried to avoid bringing that back into the parliament, because we fully understand that once it is back into the parliament, into the sessions,
thank you,
it will actually be rejected. But we're trying to avoid bringing that law into the parliament to make sure that this law is considered as an enacted law.
The second question was referred to Ziba Food Company. I mean, is there more job opportunities for those who are unemployed, especially women? Ziba Food Company?
We are trying to improve our work and employ more people, but for who are without any job and paid like this, so we cannot go to whom by whom to find some employees. But in our section, like
but did you have a public awareness? I mean,
we buy like directly from farmers from the provinces. So most of the works that it's getting done by those families at home. So we don't buy from the traders, from brokers, these people. We are always trying to go to every village and buy from the farmers, that those families can have some job, like shelling almonds and different things like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for from Mr. Rafi, from Mr. Jawed, and Mr. Ahmadi for coming and joining our panel discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much from the audience as well. So at this part of our conference, one of our colleague, Mr. Humayun Afghan, has prepared a video, and he has interviewed some of our children and asking some questions from them about their problems, why they're working or doing heavy works in Afghanistan, as discussed before. So I want kindly from my colleague to play that video, then we would go to second panel and start our second panel discussion.
کودکان افغانستان امروزه در جاده‌های متفاوت شهر کابل گشت گذار می‌کنند و با کارهای شاقه دست و پنجه نرم می‌کنند. پدر چی کار میکنه؟
پدرم کار نمیکنه.
چرا کار نمیکنه؟
پدرم موچی از پیر است.
بیادر کلان چی کار میکنه؟
بیادر کلان ندارم، 2 تا دارم چوچه هستم.
خب بیادر کلان خودت چی کار میکنه؟
بیادر کلان خودم هیچ کار نمیکنه، پدرم کار نمیکنه.
چند خور بیادر هستین؟
5 خور هستیم، 5 بیادر، 2 مادر، 1 پدر.
5 تا خور داری؟ 5 تا بیادر داری؟
بله مادر.
چند مادر داری؟
2 تا مادر، 1 پدر.
پدر 2 زن گرفته؟
مادر خودم میره در کوچه ها خیره جمع میکنه، مادر دیگه هم در کوچه ها خیره جمع میکنه. 2 تام یک بدرنگی میکنه، یک هم ساجق فروشی میکنه، یک بیادر مدرنگی میکنه، اردوش بدرنگی میکنه، یک هم گدایی میکنه.
مردا خب میفهمی که این تو بازو دارن. میبینی بازوی تا؟ چرا میگن مردا بازو داره؟ به خاطر از اینکه به زور بازوی خود نان پیدا میکنن، نه اینکه خیرات جمع کنن.
دیگه
کار خوب است؟ خیرات خوردن کار خوب است؟
نه.
حال پس چرا دیگه اینمی کار تا نمیکنی؟ هر کس را که اسپند کنی 5 روپیه یا 10 روپیه میتید خلاص.
اشتغل کنم دیگه.
نامم مرزاست. مدت 3 سال پیش در روی بازار کار میکردم، ماشین وزن داشتم، وزن میکردم در پولی وزن، هوا که گرم میشد او فروشی هم میکردم و مدت 3 سال میشه در کاشانه آمدیم در پولی که نجوری کار میکنیم، درس ها میخوانم، صف 10 مکتب هستم.
از 10 سال به طرف با کودکای روی سرک، کودکای خیابانی ما کار میکنم. از کار خانگیشان در روی سرک شروع کردیم تا اینکه با هم به یک نظر رسیدیم کنیم و یک جای جمع شیم. یک مجتمعی ساختیم با کودکای خیابانی، با 3 نفر شروع کردیم جمع کاره و حال به 650 نفر رسیدیم. کودکایی که اون روز 8 ساله، 9 ساله، 10 ساله بودن، حال خوشبختانه 17 و 18 ساله هستن. مثلا 2 ساله است جا نشسته که کار کرد، مثلا 12 مکتب خوان و فاکولته رشته برق میخواند.
ما 8 ساله بودم، کار کردیم، روی مجبوری کار کردیم، نانور خانه نداشتم، اسپندی کردیم، بود پالیشی کردیم، موترشویی کردیم، کار کردیم، کارهای شار بوده، کار کردیم. حالی خوشبختانه با آقای سمندر روبرو شدیم، به درس خود به چیز خود رسیدگی میتونم دیگه میتونم. ما توانم شاید دیگه بچه های روی سرک میبردانم، دستشان میگیرم. چرا؟ روی سرک فقر بیچارگی را دیدن.
من نمیتونستم که درس بخوانم، اما این 3 سالی که من رو به این کاشانه آوردم، من بسیار خوش هستم. کسب قالین بافی و همچنان خیاطی را یاد گرفتیم در اینجا. من میتونم مالی که هم قالین ببافم و هم خیاطی کنم و دیگری که ما در مکتب هم شامل شدیم و میتونم که هم سطح تحصیل خود بالا ببرم و همچنان کسبی را که یاد گرفتیم در می کار کنم.
So let's have a big clapping for Moin Afghan, our colleague, and thanks from all you watched this video. And now we go to second panel discussion, and I want to call up on the stage Dr. Amidullah Farooqi, Chancellor of Kabul University and Advisor Minister to the President Ghani, to come and have a seat, please. Let's have a warm welcome for Dr. Saif Farooqi as well. The next panelist is Yap Van, Country Director of Kardit, to come on the stage. Thank you. Dr. Saif Tashrif dashte bashid. And the next panelist is Dr. Dal Walker from American University of Afghanistan to come. Thank you for coming, sir. And I call now on Mr. Murtaza Idris, founder of Afghanistan Business Summit and CEO, Piral Horizon Consulting. Let's have a warm welcome also for Murtaza Idris. Thank you for coming. Have a seat, please. Welcome back. Thank you for having patience. And we go to the second panel discussion. And we're going to talk about emancipate and empower jobs, education, and protecting important communities from exploitation. Receiving an education is critical to building lives that can provide people with opportunity. And when we unite education with employment opportunities that meet these three objectives, work that value the dignity and personhood of the employee, work that pays fair wages, and creating workplaces that have systems to report an ethical business practice in a way that is secure, confidential, and most importantly, effective. That is the moment when we are providing communities that are important to exploitation with the economic security and knowledge through education that can play a vital role in helping prevent human exploitation. Right now in Afghanistan, 9 million children are enrolled in school. Girls comprise 3.7 million of all school enrollees. 300,000 young Afghans are enrolled at university. Young women make up 1/3 of 100 of the university population. However, 3.7 million Afghan children who should be in school are not, and girls make up 60% of the children who are not enrolled in school in Afghanistan. The Afghan unemployment rate is now approximately 25%. According to the World Bank, in 2019, 80% of all employment in Afghanistan is classified as insecure, meaning that the work is self-generated, day labor or unpaid, as asked before, my sister from the panelist. And approximately 8 million young Afghans are entering the labor market. Now, I want to ask the first question from Dr. Farooqi by asking that what are your plans, your programs? Because you're leading an academic educational center, and we are going to talk, or we are talking in this conference about ending up modern slavery. What you have done through education in Kabul University, which is famous educational and academic center in Afghanistan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you so much for the very wonderful program, and let me congratulate the Bayat Foundation and my dear friend Dr. Bayat for very timely conference, and I feel honored to be part of this very important scholars and wonderful delegation here. regarding your question, I believe Afghanistan is going through a very historical path. Unfortunately, war and destruction in the past 4 years not only caused trouble for Afghanistan infrastructure and destroyed most of what we had in the past, and had a deep effect on our higher education and education system in general. Higher education suffered the most because we lost a lot of our faculty members, professors, and scholars who were leading these very important sector in the country, and also the foundation of higher education institutions. Thank God, in the past 18 years, by the will of God and also by the very extended work of our colleagues in our nation and by the help of our international friends and colleagues, we were able to stand on our feet. We did hard work to get, in terms of quantity, bring a lot of our kids, sons and daughters, back to higher education arena. And that sector, as you mentioned before, more than 300,000 Afghan young girls and boys are attending universities. We have more than 170 universities, public and private. And also we do have more than 6,000 professors and scholars in these universities, in public universities. And also we have about 135 private universities.
But these are all numbers which comes in quantity.
Exactly.
I mean, a sign of quality if you talk about.
I'm coming to that. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, we lost great loss of quality of higher education. In past 40 years, the Afghan society were not able to spend or invest on higher education institution the way we lost those opportunity, and we did not train, and we did not get the chance for our scholars to go back and study in those higher education organizations in the different countries. But right now we are coming back to that in past 3-4 years. The Afghanistan higher education system in general and a higher education ministry in particular, under the supervision of His Excellency the President of the country, because he's a scholar, as you know, we are trying to emphasize more on quality.
Yeah.
And that's by our strategic plan and also the strategic vision of the country. We are emphasizing how we can bring the higher education to those scale, and we equipped it with a scale, with the nation, with those notion to be able to connect our graduate to the market. The OBE system, which is outcome-based education, which is adopted exactly in 2017. We started at the Kabul University as a top quality and leading higher education institute in the country. We are adopting that system. Now we are having close relation with our colleagues of the private sector and also with the government entities to find out how we can equip our students to those quality education, and also the need of the society, the need of.
So do we have other content and other subjects in Kabul University besides the end of the library, besides of the regular subjects that we are teaching in Kabul University?
Not only subject, we are trying to create those corners for our students to be able to find out how they can equip themselves to go and find a job in the market. Right now, statistics shows more than 90% of our graduates are finding jobs without any difficulty. 15% of those are finding jobs right on the campus. The creation of relation between our university with the market and also with signing many MOUs with private sector and also with the other NGOs, with the government entities, they are able to find jobs and they be able to serve the country and also serve their subject and their expertise.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jaap van, how we can solve this problem through employment and education? I mean, we have to end up the modern slavery in Afghanistan. And does it have a vital role when you talk about education, when you talk about employment, to at least can be a solution in Afghanistan?
Yes, I mean, if you look at modern slavery, and we just watched a video. Thank you very much, Dr. Bayat. Thank you very much, colleagues from the Bayat Foundation. I even see another partner of Coordinate here, Hamidi Barg-McGee, Organization for Rule of Law. Thank you very much for the very good education you do to our incubators and also to our SMEs. in understanding the importance of following the rules and the policies properly on taxation and commercial law. What I just saw was very sad. It was a reminder of the very deep-seated problem that we have here. When we talk about modern slavery, in a way, what we see with the street children, that's also modern slavery, and we need to help them as much as we can.
Yeah.
If I may say a little bit, perhaps, why I'm sitting here, should I? So I am the country director of a Dutch NGO, and we're working in and on fragility. And we're very much trying to engage with communities to help rebuild trust and also to build resilience, to help people to be resilient. We're also trying to very much work, not just providing relief to those that have great difficulty helping themselves, but even more important, to help create opportunities for people to help themselves, whether that's in the areas of security and justice. In which areas? That could be security and justice, that could be in healthcare, where we also, for instance, we have a Kandahar. Do you
have exact numbers of, you have done the services that you have done for people in Afghanistan, the Kardi? Does it have exact numbers for how many people?
Now, if you look at an organization like Keynote, we're a very small NGO.
Yeah.
So for us, it is more about changing the mindset of the people, right? A lot of it is lobbying advocacy, and I believe one of my CSO colleagues just now mentioned where our role is. Yes, we have the potential to become a very big organization, right, and do the things ourselves, but that's the wrong thing to do. So certainly when you're an international NGO, you're here to help the local capacity. We call it localization. Yeah. So you want to work as much as possible with local partners. You want to build the capacity of your local partners. In this particular case, when we look at private sector development, we have a very invigorating Bright Future program, very invigorating. And it's a good partnership also of using civil society, of using private sector together in order to really help young people to find jobs, but also young people who want to start a business, to start their jobs, to help them to understand how do you start a business. You have a great plan, but how you get started, that's incubation.
I mean, was it effective? What was the result?
It's effective in the sense that, yes, we have very good results.
Yeah.
We certainly are exceeding our targets. Yeah. But when you look at targets, the targets are not 10,000 or 30,000. The targets are much more in the sense of testing out the concept. Now, what is innovative about this concept is the ecosystem. So one of the very first things we realized, the problem of young people not being able to start new business because their father is not a rich man, is not a connected person, or they don't have a big network or a big family. They are an outsider. They have been educated at Kabul University or elsewhere, but they're on their own. They have great ideas, but how do they get started? How do they get started? So we realized the ecosystem, the network, the hub is very important. And that's where we bring the different people together. Those that look for jobs, those that want to start a business, those who want to grow the business. The second two, so the ones that start the business, grow the business, bring the people from the first pathway, those that find the jobs. And then we teach them also about policies and the rules, and then help them find each other to make partnerships, business partnerships.
Yeah.
And we have very good results in that sense already, qualitatively.
Thank you so much. And if you go to Dr. Walker, I mean, if you talk about American University of Afghanistan regarding our today's conference, what has done in the past and what's doing, if you talk about education and empowerment and the role of education and empowerment in ending at the modern slavery in Afghanistan.
Well, like the members of the panel, I would like to thank the Bayat Foundation for hosting this forum. At the American University, what we are doing is we are training with the future leaders of Afghanistan, but we're also educating a lot of females. No society can reclaim its call to greatness if we are wiping out almost half of the population from the educational process, and that is females. So we're educating a lot of females. We're educating females in our law school. I think we need a lot more females as lawyers. They would help their community. We are educating a lot of females in IT, and that would help a lot of females who want to work from home. I spoke with a student a few days ago, a female student, and she said she wants to be a mother, but she also wants to work. And by having
this is one of the examples.
Yes, by having a computer science degree or an IT degree, she says she can work from home because a lot of big corporations now are sourcing out work for people to work from home. So we are not only focusing on the elite within society, we're giving a lot of scholarships scholarships to people who came from very impoverished backgrounds, from all of the provinces. So these are things that we are doing because education is, the research has shown, is one of the greatest things that would reduce exploitation, and it also assists the individual who is educated. If they are exploited, they are less likely to stay in exploitation.
If we talk about the factors of modern slavery in Afghanistan, do we have lacking of education? Do we have lacking of employment in Afghanistan, security issues, social issues? Which one do you think is the most, can play the vital role?
Well, my degree is in international human rights law. Yeah. Afghanistan has all the tools, the legal tools, to deal with modern day slavery exploitation. You are quite unique. If you look at the new constitution, you have incorporated the Universal Declaration of Human Rights into your constitution. It's at the beginning. So you have all the tools to deal with it. I mean legal tools.
Yeah. But the problem is in implementation.
The problem is implementation. Sadly, even certain institutions, including police institutions, they don't even know sometimes what is the law. So I think it is really education, but not only education of the young. We may need to be educating people who are in institutions as to what are their rights and responsibilities.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Let's go to Idris. Mr. Idris, according to the World Bank, Doing Business Index in Afghanistan ranks 167 out of 193 countries. What factors made you decide that Afghanistan was a promising place to launch and grow your company, to do your business and lead a company that you have?
Thank you. Happy to be here, especially for Saib, who is my professor at Kabul University. It's an honor. It's a very tough question. I think people would have different reasons of doing business in Afghanistan. I think Dr. Bayat is one of the pioneers who came in 2002 and 2003 with AWCC. I think the number one for me has been, first of all, I'm from Kabul. I've been born and raised here, so there's this feeling about Afghanistan that if I work here and I create employment for Afghanistan, it gives me immense happiness. So there's a bit of patriotic factor there. But I think the other one is that countries like Afghanistan, where in frontier markets, risk is really high. But at the same time, if you're a pioneer, if you come early, you can reap high benefits. So I think there's definitely the profit if you understand which sectors to invest in. I think as Afghans, we also have...
And if I ask you what you have done for ending up modern slavery, your company, I mean, through education like employment?
Sure. That's a different question. So my company, Pearl Horizon Consulting and Business DNA, and also another initiative that we have, Afghanistan Business Summit, all of this, we work under three kind of service areas that we try to contribute to. Number one is job curation. It's a very big ambition. Number two is supporting entrepreneurship. And number three is private sector development. And all of that, we have done bits and pieces that we have been able to do as a private sector company. For example, through Business DNA, our work is very catalytic. It's not that we claim that we end slavery in Afghanistan, modern slavery in Afghanistan, but we catalyze. Yeah. I'll give you one example. We did one research on women-owned businesses in the country, and we found out that one of the major issues that they had was access to finance. Nobody basically lent to them. Majority of women do not own property, so banks don't lend to them because they can't provide collateral. Yeah. And one of the banks actually had seen this study, and they produced this a new product. It's called An-Nisa, and this is basically a savings and lending and kind of a financial product solely made for women. It's very low interest rate and everything, and that I think by now they have 1,000 or 1,100 customers, and that's the kind of impact that we can create through my work at Business DNA. We raise awareness, we give a lot of data information, and I think today's event is doing just that by acknowledging that the problem actually exists. And through Business DNA, which is just it's not a big of an initiative, but it's basically a magazine that talks about entrepreneurs and tells people that if you start a business in the country.
Yeah.
It can create jobs
Thank you.
and it's cool again.
Thank you so much. Dr. Faraqi, what is the greatest challenge of delivering education or facing delivering education in Afghanistan that you found, because you're an academic man as well, and you have led in the past many companies, especially universities, schools, and other educational institutions in Afghanistan, out of Afghanistan, and you have been teaching for a long time. What you found that the more challenging and big problems in delivering education in Afghanistan?
I believe in two areas there's difficulties. One in managing a higher education institution, and also the other part is to deliver and to teach and to train students. In first area of higher education institution, how to run it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, lack of independency, lack of authority, bureaucratic laws and regulations, those are creating for the institution not to move forward in the fast path as they would like to, and they can
lack of authority from which side? I mean, because sometimes authority is being taken, not being given, because
exactly.
it belongs to individuals who are working in institutions.
Most of these institutions in Afghanistan, by our law, they are secondary stages by the governmental budget and many other authorities which they're given to them. And that's why those institutions, they do not have authority enough to move forward by their plan, by their program, by their capacity which they have. Unfortunately, those layers of authority, that create some difficulty and barriers and challenges. That's, I think, the most which I feel that, and right now, and I have the experience in the past couple of years, which I'm responsible for Kabul University. But in a class which we are trying, unfortunately, lack of technology, which we do not have that many, the curriculum, and that's most of the time, unfortunately.
Is the curriculum still hold?
Exactly, because we even though in the past 7 or 8 years, the Afghan higher education community try very hard to change the curriculum and update it, but still the international community, higher education moving so fast and so rapid. Unfortunately, we cannot catch up with that. That's why the technology.
Thank you.
And lack of technologies is the most barrier in our classrooms.
Thank you. Let's take some questions from the audience as well. Please give the mic to my sister there. امو مایک به اختیار خواهر ما قرار بدین. Just you can ask about education and employment from the panelists.
First, I want to thank the Bayat Foundation for organizing such an extraordinary program. I'm Zamira Hussaini, one of the political science student of American University of Afghanistan. My question from Mr. Farooq is that you said we prefer quality over quantity. How about those who are not able to get enrolled in the university, in public universities, and they are not also able to go to the private universities? Don't you think that it itself contribute to modern slavery? And the other question from the two our friends, I don't know their name, sorry, is that how the security situation in Afghanistan affects you to have or run your businesses and provide job opportunities and employment, and how it affects the international organizations to address modern slavery.
Thank you so much. The second question was belongs to Murtaza Idris, so we're going to get one more question from there. Please give the mic. Mic به اختیارشون قرار بدید. بفرمایید. بفرمایید شما. بله.
Hello everyone. My question is about.
What's your name? Sorry.
Sorry, my name is Amir Hadi Hosseini. I'm the founder and CEO of Idea Group of companies. The last panel and you guys, you bright people, we're focusing about making more job opportunities, and by making more job opportunities, we can help the modern slavery. Though there's already the modern slavery in the companies, like they need 3 or 4 IT officers, for example, but they're only hiring one, and the load of the work is only on one IT officer. And that is a kind of modern slavery, because they need like 3 or 4 people, but they're hiring only one. So what is the exact strategy from the Business DNA CEO and founder, I think? What is the exact strategy for eliminating the modern slavery that you guys have come up with, And from the head of the Kabul University, I'm very delighted to ask you this question, that what is your strategy for eliminating the modern slavery in the Kabul University that you already talked about?
Yeah, thank you so much. Very shortly, Dr. Farooqi first, the answer, very shortly, because we are
thank you very much,
running out of time.
The question from my sister, I think you're right. Unfortunately, we are not able to create places for 100% of our graduates from high schools. From high schools and also from 12th grade schools. But our government tried very hard to create opportunity for them. In the past 15 years, we opened more than 136 private universities. Right now, more than 85% of our graduates are getting the opportunity to be part of higher education institutions.
85%?
85% or more than that, around that. And about 15 or 20% of graduates, unfortunately, did not get the chance to go to higher education institution. But the technical education entities are there for them. And in no country, I believe, 100% of higher education, education graduates can get a chance to go to the universities or to higher education. And Afghan government is working on that right now to transfer them to what do you call these technical education, higher education institution, where they can get equipped with all those skills. They can get job, or also they can create job for.
And Mr. Hosseini asked you about the Kabul University strategies and policies. I think you have also answered before.
I answered before. I think one of the samples sitting right here. And he's not only find job for himself, and also he was able to equip himself with the skills and create job for the other colleagues and classmates and some other Afghan who need job. I think that's our strategy to give enough skill for our students and connect them with the society and also with the job market. By those skills and by those knowledge they can get, and they can find not only job for themselves, and also to ratify those slavery or lack of job in the community or lack of opportunity for them.
Thank you, Doctor.
That's our strategy, and we are looking forward to emphasize more on quality education rather than quantity.
Before to go to Mr. Idris, just from Mr. Van, country director of CARDIT, how easily we can solve this problem through educations? I mean, from your experience in your own organizations, I mean, if you make it very easily, it's simple.
No, education is critically important, obviously. And it has to start all the way from when children are very young and they go to elementary school up. And we should not forget about vocational training either. But one of the things that we have learned also for the Bright Future program is the level of the training, the education that comes, and we're dealing with graduates, we're dealing with university graduates. And we're noticing that the university graduates are not ready for the market. They don't know how to sell themselves. They do not know how to do their pitch. They have no idea, they have no clue. So this is one of the things that we're trying to address. We're also trying to really focus on the quality, to understand the issue and how to solve it. So we don't want to be tempted too much in the quantity, that's how I said earlier. And we've learned quite a few very good lessons, how we perhaps can improve further.
Thank you. Dr. Walker, as one of the questions was about education opportunity. American University of Afghanistan is one of the best universities in Afghanistan, but mostly all young cannot, attend there or cannot join there because of low economic and some economic problems. Do you have some other, opportunities for those young that they cannot join or they cannot attend from perspective of low economic?
Well, we are doing a lot of outreach programs at the American University, so we are not here only to teach our students. We are here to help any group that would want any type of instruction or training that we can do. Anything we can do to help people, members of the community, to empower them, we are willing to do that.
Thank you so much. And Idris, very shortly, one of the questions was... just a question of...
Okay. So in terms of security, I think we take it as a given. We understand that security is not as ideal as it should be, so we adapt. And I think one small example of how we have adapted as a sort of a media organization is that we have sort of stayed away from politics a bit. I think there's a lot happening in Afghanistan, so we have focused a lot on economics and business.
So you stayed away from politics?
To the extent that we have been able to. And I think that has helped us so far, because there's so many issues in Afghanistan you can address. All of us don't have to talk about politics. So I think tackling economics and business, that's already a lot that we can do. And I think to your question about trying to end slavery, modern slavery in Afghanistan, I think awareness and promoting ethical businesses in the country is really, really important. And I think besides laws that the government has to impose, I think private sector companies themselves can adopt self-imposed laws like the Code of Ethics.
Thank you, Mr. Idris. Thank you so much.
Can I maybe just answer the IT question?
A few seconds
very quickly. I think for that one, it just depends on each company themselves, but I think having a code of ethics is really, really important in your company. But we should also understand that we are in Afghanistan, so a lot of companies is very difficult for them to survive.
Yeah.
So I think that may be one strategy for them to fight it.
Thank you so much from Dr. Faraqi, Mr. Yafvan, Dr. Walker. Bali. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay. Mr. Van, please.
In layman terms, so we are a Dutch NGO, a civil society organization. We very much want to work with people that have great difficulty helping themselves, right? So we want to be as close to the people that have the problem. That
in which
needs to be
areas
solved.
exactly?
At the moment in Afghanistan, so let me speak for Afghanistan,
Okay.
is also, I think, for Codate where we have the most diversified program. So we're working very much pure on humanitarian aid, which is relief. We also have resilience, which I believe is one of the most important programs because you're helping people to help themselves. Private sector development, where we have the honor to work together with Bayat Foundation, HBRL, and other local partners to help young people find jobs, young people to start business, young people to accelerate their business, young people to find themselves
in all
and
Afghanistan?
to partner in Afghanistan. We call it the Bright Future Program. It's a very exciting program. Then we have what we call a health program. We have been very intensively involved in the past with the basic provision of basic health services and hospital services. Not anymore, and I think that's a good thing because the local NGOs are now able to take on what the international NGOs used to do. We are very much involved in what we call our security and justice program. We have a social contract on extractives. When we say social contract, it's meaning you look at the contract between the people and the government. And what you're really trying to do is you're trying to prevent conflicts that make it not possible to really take advantage of the richness that's there on the ground. And one of also a very exciting program that we have is called Lobbying Advocacy. It's a strategic partnership for lobbying advocacy. Like Bright Future Program, it's also funded by the Dutch government. And here we have several trajectories, and one of the trajectories is what we call inclusive and engendered peace. Here we have worked very much with women CSOs, with women leaders, to try to make that point, also to the government to be part of the Doha process, to be part of the peace process. We went to New York, we went to Washington, D.C., and I think this was also a very exciting program. Maybe if I may want to say one more thing, which I think is really good, what has been established, is for one of our programs, we have established provincial women networks in 15 provinces. We're now in discussion with the embassy to open...
How many women?
30 women per province. So this is a grassroots provincial women network where they do evidence-based lobby. They talk with the women in the communities. They talk, what are your issues, right? Like they deal with domestic violence issues. They deal with child marriage. They deal with dowry. They deal with going to the Hajj.
Then they're giving
but from a woman perspective, right? And the good thing about it is it's built from the communities. So it's not something when Afghanistan was developed was in a lot of turmoil 15 years ago. We had very important CSOs being established, but they were established through existing power networks, which is critical. You have to start somewhere. But the good thing about the provincial women networks is there is no one behind it. These are the people themselves. These are the women leaders themselves. And I think one of the coordinators of our provincial network, Barikshan, I think she is now the director of the Department of Women Affairs in the government. So they do very important work, and we want to do more of that.
Thank you so much from all you guys who have joined me. Thank you so much. Please have a seat. Let's have a warm welcome for all of the panelists. The لحظات in this time of our conference, one of our colleagues in production of Ariana, they have made an animation video about what is child trafficking or abuse. So I want from my technical team to play that video, and then two people will be speaking. و حال از بخش تکنیکی تقاضا میکنیم تا او پیش از که این ویدیو پلی شود. حضار گرامی، مهمانان عزیز، موضوع کنفرانس امروزی ما در رابطه با ختم بردگی مدرن در افغانستان و در تمام منطقه، فرا منطقه و دنیاست. به ویژه فوکس اصلی ما یا تمرکز اصلی بنیاد بیات و نهادهای همکار ما به خاطر ختم بردگی که انجام دادن کارهای شاقه هست، محروم کردن افرادی که از حقوقشان محروم میشه و بحث ظلم و ستمی که انجام میشه به ویژه کودکان در افغانستان، اونایی که محروم میشن از دسترسی نداشتن به تعلیم، آموزش و پرورش در افغانستان، همچنان بحث بیکاری در افغانستان و این ویدیوهایی که شما پیشتر هم تماشا کردین و حالی به شکل انیمیشن ساخته شده که خود بردگی چی هست و یا بحث سوء استفاده از اطفالی که گاهگاهی در افغانستان بحث میشه چی هست در این ویدیو بحث شده و بعد از او دو سخنران دیگری هم در برنامه ما داریم. بسیار تشکر.
پیش از درس امروز براتون درباره استفاده جنسی و قاچاق اطفال گپ میزنم. کسی میفهمه که استفاده جنسی و قاچاق اطفال یعنی چی؟
نه معلم صاحب.
درخواست بر اشتراک در رابطه جنسی، برقراری رابطه جنسی با کودک یا استفاده از طفل بر مقاصد خراب.
معلم صاحب خوب شد که ما را فهماندی. چند روز پیش یک مردک که نامش خمارخان بود مرا طرف خود کش کرد. گفت بیا که بریم برای تو اسکریم بخرم. باز مام از پیشش گریختم.
آفرین بچه. ده تو وقتا از کاکا پلیستان کمک خواسته میتونی.
اطفالی که قربانی قاچاق مواد مخدر میشوند بسیاریشان مربوط خانواده‌های نادار و غریب هستند. قاچاق انسان پرایدترین مصروفیت برای گروه‌های مافیایی به شمار می رود.
مادر جان امروز استاد ما می رقم گپاره می زد. بعد از این رفیقای خودم می فهمانم که فریب آدمای خراب و کوچکرده نخورن.
آفرین جان مادر. اینه ناق میگن که مکتب فایده نداره. خیر ببینه معلمتان بچی.
تشکر از بخش تیم خلاق تلویزیون آریانا، به ویژه سمیر جان که ویدیو را تیار کرده. Now I would like to call up on the stage Mrs. Maryam Bayat, taking action a giant initiative to combat slavery, human trafficking and economic exploitation. So please have a warm welcome to Maryam Bayat on the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, on behalf of my parents, Dr. and Mrs. Bayat, and all our loyal and long-time Bayat Group and Bayat Foundation colleagues, I want to say thank you to everyone here today. Thank you for your unyielding determination to create a world where the evils of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation are vanquished, a world where all people enjoy freedom, opportunity, and hope. Without your support and dedication to Afghanistan, we will not be able to transform our promise to eliminate modern slavery in all its forms into the new legal protections, educational, and job creation programs, which will empower Afghans, and we pray all people, to live freely and to flourish. Omayun's interview with the street children of Kabul that we just saw was both heartbreaking and helpful. We see the children's struggle, but just as importantly, we see the determination of people like Mr. Baki Samandar, who are trying their best to help these children improve their lives. We see the children's poverty and we realize that Afghanistan's need for help is great. So we roll up our sleeves and we get to work because our desire to help people live better lives is even greater. We all understand that we must nurture these innocent children. We must protect them from the lives of exploitation and want, because these children are indeed the future of Afghanistan. Helping to build a better future, not only for our children, but for all Afghans, is the reason my family established the Bayat Foundation in 2006. And for 13 years, our partnership with the Afghan people has made steady, certain, and inspiring progress in providing Afghans with better healthcare, better education, life-saving emergency aid, and increased opportunities for sustainable economic development. Thank you all for partnering with the Bayat Foundation. Together, our collective determination to forge a world that is free from every type of modern slavery will help create a better future, not just for Afghans, but for millions of people in every, I have here in corner of the earth, but now I don't want to say corner, everywhere around the world. You here today are an inspirational example of the truth expressed by Helen Keller. Alone, we can do little, but together we can do so much. And together we make this promise to all the millions of men, women, children held in bondage here in Afghanistan and throughout the world. We see you, we hear your cries for help, and you are not alone. And we promise you that we will accomplish our mission to liberate you from modern slavery and help you build new lives with freedom, opportunity, and hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mariam Bayat. And for closing remarks, I would like to call up on the stage Ms. Atifa Hassani from Bayat Foundation. At the end, please have a warm welcome for Atifa Hassani as well on behalf of Bayat Foundation to have closing remarks.
Hello, everyone. My dear friends from all over Afghanistan, my dear international friends, I'm so happy that I'm standing here. I'm so excited that I'm talking in front of you all. Thank you for attending Ending Slavery, Extending Hope, Afghanistan's very first international conference dedicated to eliminating modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation here in Afghanistan and throughout the world. We are very much grateful to our nations that we are very much grateful to our experts panelists and thoughtful audience member. Your ideas, your experience, and your projects have provided us with positive, powerful, and practical solutions. Thank you very much. These solutions can help protect people from becoming victims of modern slavery and provide them with the education and employment opportunities which will give Afghans and millions of vulnerable, exploited people in our world a fighting chance to live lives which are not defined by poverty and fear, but with possibility of freedom. We have learned today that our efforts to eliminate modern slavery will not be accomplished easily or swiftly. Indeed, the fight to eliminate all forms of modern slavery must begin here in Afghanistan. Today, Afghanistan is the region's second highest incidence of modern slavery, human trafficking, and labor exploitation within the Indo-Pacific region. Only North Korea ranks higher. Worldwide, approximately 40.3 million people are victims of modern slavery. And as Dr. Bayat informed us, 71% of persons held in modern slavery are women, unfortunately. And 16 of all victims of modern slavery live in Indo-Pacific region. Yet, despite the modern slavery's tragic scale and scope in our young nation, there is reason for optimism, even in these darkest moments. As the private sector is working in partnership with government of Afghanistan to acknowledge, act, and advance to strengthen the nation's law prohibiting slavery, human trafficking, and exploitation, and support efforts to educate Afghans about these critical issues. Working in partnership, all partners in the campaign of eliminating modern slavery must be relentless in our determination to help ending modern slavery. Trafficking and exploitation from all over Afghanistan and the world. Afghanistan has much to do things in these issues, but we should all believe these wise words which were spoken earlier today. Where opportunities can be expanded, exploitation can be eliminated. Ending modern slavery from the face of the earth to build a world where people may work and learn and live freely demands that we remain united. We must always be determined. Despite the enormity of our mission, we will remain hopeful. And one day, with your help, we shall be successful. Thank you very much for attending today's conference. Thank you for attending, and thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Atifa Hassani, on behalf of Bayat Foundation. And we came to the end of the conference, Ending Slavery in Afghanistan, Bali process, on behalf of Bayat Foundation and all our networks here in Bayat Media Center. I thank you all for coming, and I want to invite our panelists and speaker to serve the lunch at Bayat Media Center. Thank you for coming. ډیره مننه. ښه راغلاست. زمونږ کنفرانس همدغلته پای ته ورسید. الله پامان.